So the first thing we're going to work on in Tai Chi is the standing position. The standing position in Tai Chi is called the WuJi Position. Physically, the WuJi Position consists of a bunch of different elements that provides the physical structure for the standing position, the WuJi Position. So let me quickly run through those now. First, we want the feet to be about shoulder width apart, pointing roughly straight forward. The feet can drift out a little bit, but you don't want them drifting in. That's going to be murder on the knees, okay? So feet roughly straight ahead, pointing straight forward. Speaking of the knees, we want to have the knees slightly bent. The knees are much happier when they're slightly bent than when they're locked. Locked knees are really bad for the knees. Bent knees, much better, much stronger, much more able to move that way, okay? So feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, breathing from the stomach. I know the lungs end about here, but we want to get the feel as if the breath is sinking down into the lowest part of the abdomen. This area here, if this is my belly button, this area here below the abdomen is called the dantian, and it's kind of like an energy pump for the body in traditional Chinese medicine philosophy, okay? So if we sink the breath down into the dantian, then that's going to help stimulate the flow of energy through the body. So feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, breathing from the stomach. Next, we want to have a nice upright posture. We achieve this by imagining the traditional philosophy, the traditional analogy is that there's a golden thread coming out of the top of the head, lifting us up, so our whole body hangs down from that. If you notice, when I lift this up, my chin comes in a little bit, okay? So that lifting point, don't get it too far forward where the chin lifts up. See if you can get it more, it almost feels like it's coming up more from the back of the head, so the chin comes in. That being said, we don't want to pull the chin in because that's going to create stress. So we want to let this project up, letting the chin come in. Along with the head going up, we want to take the tailbone and let the tailbone drop down towards the ground, okay? So if I get the head floating up and the tailbone drop down towards the ground, I start to get this nice upright, aligned posture where everything is balanced above everything that's just below it, so that there's nothing pitching forward or back or thrusting forward or back. There's no leaning. We want to get this feeling like we're just lined up. If we get that lined up, then everything stacks right on top of the other, and our structure helps to hold us up so that we don't have to use as much muscularity to hold ourselves up. If I tilt over, then I have to use the back muscles to hold me up. But if I'm standing up straight, then the back muscles don't have to work as hard, okay? Next, we want to take the arms and let the arms be nice and relaxed down by the sides. That being said, we don't want to let them go limp. So we're just going to let the arms puff out a little bit. But if you'll notice, even though it's puffed out, it's still nice and relaxed, okay? But you want to have a little bit of presence in the arms. Last thing, if you think about it, we're going to take the tip of the tongue and let the tip of the tongue rest up on the roof of the mouth, okay? So, feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, breathing from the stomach, head floating up, tailbone drop down towards the ground, arms nice and relaxed by the side but not limp, and tip of the tongue resting up on the roof of the mouth. And this is the WuJi position. Typically, when we get into the WuJi position, I'll say something along the lines of, I'll kind of go through this little checklist. So I'll say something along the lines of, just settle into the WuJi position. Find that nice, calm, peaceful space within you. And within that space, check in on your alignment. Check in on your balance, making any adjustments you need to your alignment or your balance. Release tension down into the ground. And open up your awareness to feel, sense, notice as much of everything as you can. Then, before we start the movements, I'll just say, let's take a couple breaths together. Nice deep inhale down into the lower abdomen. Nice releasing exhale. And usually we do 2 of them, so nice deep inhale. Releasing exhale. All right, so that's the WuJi position. Before we start the movements of the form, we start off with the WuJi position. So the WuJi position can be thought of as a neutral state before we start expressing ourselves with the movements, okay? You can also use the WuJi position as a standing meditation. It's very popular to practice WuJi as a standing meditation. So in the class, we'll typically only stand in WuJi for maybe 30 seconds or a minute while I run through that little checklist. But if you want to, in your own practice, you can stand in WuJi. You might start off with 5 minutes and then let that expand out, go 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, 3 hours. I joke, but there are people who actually stand in WuJi for 3 hours or stand in a few different standing meditation positions for hours on end. Okay? So you can use it as a simple meditation, but it's also how we begin the form. All right, so that's the WuJi position.